Now, our next reader is somebody else I can't say enough about, Lois Walker. I am forever indebted to Lois Walker. She was one of the stalwarts of a workshop out on Long Island run by the Long Island Poetry Collective. Lois is one of the people who taught me how to read and edit poetry, a skill we all know needs to be picked up and needs to be taught. Because of that, Lois always has a special place in my heart. Now, Lois is one of the readers today who is multi-talented. She is not only a poet, she is a visual artist and very generous with her art. To hear for yourself now that we've held you in suspense long enough. Lois, you want to come on up?
A lovely introduction, and this particular place and this particular kind of action I haven't been a part of for quite a few years, but there was a time back in the 70s, Dr. Generosity's Pub in Manhattan, places all over that had poetry readings. I participated, but I now have to give myself time to paint and do other things and catalog whatever it is I've done. I consequently just brought out this book, Pandora's Box, myself, and I had to quit the Long Island Poetry Collective in order to give myself time to do it. The first poem I'll read sets a particular kind of tone. It's called I Do. Everything I know is flawed. I put my finger on one spot and raise both eyebrows for the next mistaken plot. The fish is bad. I sink into a flood of tea and stain the mug beyond recall. But I do remember you, high-stepping mortal man, and get up laughing from a crawl. I have a lot of forgiveness, and these days it takes it. The next poem I'd like to read is related to some of my ideas about this world and what our responsibilities are toward it. It's called Tearing Out Tall Grass. I come, by the way, from Kansas and Illinois, and I love lots of things about it, but this is one of the true stories about it. Tearing out tall grass. The invaders tearing out tall grass plowed the plains, carried seeds in both hands to make the land feed them. They were unbeatable, gathering the lonely harvest. Generations fed upon the wealth, fed upon each other, but taught love with simple words for what should be broken, could be forced to produce, and swallowed at this table of plenty, praying loudly to create perfect, and would never notice wild horses in the mountains starving on open secrets. The next one is the LIE, and it also talks about our responsibilities in a way. It becomes much more palatable when it's related to poetry. Okay? LIE. In the middle land, I pushed lights into dark, old marriage made with pushing foot, pressing to a machine. I had to stop, unsignaled, short. The dog finally arrived at Center Stage Expressway. In all our separate lights, danced, three-legged good, turned somersaults. I traced fresh outline, orgy of pain, fingering the bruise. My unnamed softness before the simple, inarticulate, a terror born under the weird threat of bright and motor storms crowded my chest. The man ahead could do it. Leave his car, fight the animal, careful, patient, performed the rites, risked to carry in his arms to his hatchback the full weight of broken body, off at the next exit because he knew it belonged to us. All right, and this one is one that relates to war. It relates to a war that seems not to carry with it the illness of most of the ones after it. The war came to Illinois. The war crawled all over us in the spring of 1942. It got into the family apartment above my mother's shop. It devoured the newspapers in huge, irregular chunks. It sprayed a heavy voice around the local theater, where distant gray boats exploded at sea and rivermen kept marching to point at Hitler on his balcony. It swallowed up familiar male faces my friend and I had admired downtown on Saturday nights. It covered unknown men at a nearby army base with khaki, men who would come around looking for fun, who might meet girls, we were told, even 12-year-olds like us, men like the private first class who followed us one time until we stopped in front of my place, who motioned us to join him around the corner where it was dark, who watched and waited while we started to giggle but froze instead, who stayed put and motioned again, half man, half shadow, in and out of light, until a couple came to break the spell and we ran for the front door without looking back. The war crawled all over us in the spring of 1942. It chewed the edges of everything green, and that was just the beginning. Okay, here's another one that relates to war, the good fight. I carried my chair to the barricades in a panic about tomorrow. All I could see was the wall growing up in front of me. All I could hear was anger blowing slogans in the air. All I shall recall are dead men showing the right way to fall. Since I'm on that topic, you'll see what this is. I don't write many prose poems, but this is a prose poem. It does happen to relate to a very large painting I did some years back of a stretched out king with his head on fire. The king's head is on fire. He stretches out over the length of the land he commands, but the flames in his head crackle. It has made him very heavy, and he can hardly hear his own thoughts. Legs no longer move, he cannot raise his arms, and his head is pulled upward by the rising fire. He wonders where all the smoke is coming from, and why the sun is no longer bright. The eye closest to the water grows, the eye close to the water grows intrigued by the shadows that play in the stream, suggesting people or fish with human faces. But then nothing is quite real except for the fire in his head and the smell of smoke. I think that there are a couple of others that might be of interest. Not too many. Oh, here's one that is sort of personal and off the subject of war. It's part of the rebel in me, and I've never looked like a rebel or looked as if I were angry. I did my thing that way, but the rebel is still there. Salem Witch. The ribbon I wear is red. I can't remember why I like it, but when I am alone and empty, it is a stream of blood, disembodied, beating, waving in the wind, alive with pulling that takes me gently toward a song. I recognize my quiet ties with life, but it is fire I wrap around me, being tired of winter, walking the paths of Salem, a challenge on folds of gray. This world can be very boring. Let's see, there's one more. Okay, this is the last one. I guess I better do one that's a little more substantial. Okay, here it is. If and when. If I sit in a bedroom of the house where I was born, and the walls begin to peel themselves up layer after paper layer, until the baby flesh shows red, I am a witness to my own birthing. If I watch the soft purple rug that covers an empty living room with clipped plush, I am witness to the depth of simple dreams untasted. If I walk in the street and the trees fall down in front of me without a wrenching sound, I am witness to my singular deafness. If I carry unlighted candles into night, asking all the stars to visit us with tiny fires, I am a witness to the turn of overwhelming darkness. If I arrive at the theater of the absurd, and no one can perform the play, I am a witness to the end of nothing. Cartoons, not real monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. When I look, I see. When I listen, I hear. If I breathe, I speak. Thank you. Really.
Thank you, Lois. That was wonderful.